New reference architectures. You all know our reference architecture in the pocket, this one. And Michael and Rüdiger have been putting it a bit upside down and looked at it from a use case perspective. And they're going to show us, share with us the latest developments in use case-oriented architectural guardrails. Is that correct?
Sounds
Would
good.
you like to come on stage and explain yourself what you're talking about?
When you just said upside down, the bike is now also upside down.
Is it also upside down, or is it not?
Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, just short introduction. Michael Riester from Endress and Hauser, more or less former lead of the Open Operator Cloud Workgroup, and Rüdiger.
Kind of power couple, yeah. You have seen me this morning. By the way, wake up. So it's now after the lunch break, maybe the crucial seconds and minutes where you might sleep, but listen to Michael as concentrated as possible because it will change your minds.
We will see. Okay, so we just want to get you a sneak preview on new reference architectures. And let's start with the current one. And Anna already showed it to you, so we have these nice flyers. So basically, I think the first question is, why did we do this, what we did? Yeah, and if you can see a lot of building blocks here, and we work very long with this reference architecture, and honestly, last year, some point, mid of last year, we recognized it will not be possible to fill out these building blocks, all of them, yeah, with sensible descriptions, with a guideline, at least similar to what the Open Edge Computing working group is doing. And so we started discussions, and yeah, I would say the end of the discussions was at least, so this was one too fast, to make it empty. Yeah, so quite easy, no building blocks to fill. So there are some slight changes. Let me see if this, yeah. This is not so easy, yeah? Okay, let's do it like this. So there are some changes on it. At least we did some shop floor to operational technology, some cloud to information technology. You can also see a cloud and a rack symbol. So these are some basic changes. We have more present to the right side of the company internal IT, but also OT, and they are transforming. So there's no scenario where there's a clear break between IT and OT in any operational scenario. And we have this cross-company and data spaces, so it's different. It's not necessarily a data space. And of course, it's quite empty. So let's start with an example how a new reference architecture could look like. And here you see some first building blocks, also on the Open Edge Computing layer from the colleagues from the OEC group. And there you can see at least the main point. Why can I not see it here? Yeah, it's this digital twin enablement. Yeah, what does it mean? Of course, we had some AAS server, some AAS registry, and our current reference architecture. But at least this is not always the solution. The solution for the future is that there are as much applications as possible who are digital twin enabled. What does it mean? Technically, having an AAS interface, being able to consume or to produce as a demonstration shells and to exchange data. Yeah? That's what it's all about. And some more or less examples for building blocks, of course, we have some identity and access management related to some digital twin access management, of course, different applications, but leave it quite empty, yeah? Because we want to fill it out based on defined use cases. Yeah? That's the idea behind. We don't believe that there is one reference architecture to fit all. There will be different reference architecture for different views, for different use cases, for different projects at least. Yeah? And we want to start now to fill the reference architecture with the knowledge we gain in use case or project-related work groups.
Maybe quick comment, when you look to the old world, Michael and I looked at each other and said, it's a little bit buzzwordy. Right? So just the term Common Cloud Central. I used to do this work group. That sounds great. but it was a buzzword, to be honest, right? And when we look into the old versions, there were building blocks where we said, okay, payment metering, somehow somebody needs payment metering. We didn't discuss or touch this term for more than 2 years. And then that meant there is something not in the right order. That's not simple enough, that's not plain. We need something with less buzzwords where you can really touch it. That's why, for example, it's no longer common cloud central, it's just enterprise boundary. So if you communicate with your suppliers, if you communicate with your customers, if you communicate with partners, if you are in data space or not, it's from my perspective as a bike manufacturing company, it's an enterprise boundary. And I have tons of processes inside, that's inside the enterprise. And then I certainly have the edge stuff. As simple as that. No rocket science at all. We made a little bit of rocket science out about it, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, by naming something Common Cloud Central. No blame, right? So that was also good for structuring the mind, but we are totally convinced that that's much easier and easier to follow.
And I forgot one thing. I thought it was very smart, and then I forgot it. So you see the headline, new reference architecture guardrails, and the reference is struck out. Yeah. So we also want to get rid of this reference architecture, and we go to more architecture guardrails. Yeah. So in German Leitplank, because we think it will fit much better to what we do and what we are able to deliver. Yeah, we already had this slide, and just one example, and don't take it too serious. It's just to play around with this new concept. How could remote device management look like as a more detailed use case with some remote device management application on this layer 3 with a possibly AAS-enabled ERP system on the IT side, with a remote device management client on the edge side, and with a digital twin enablement on the layer 3 as well as on the layer 2, yeah, to exchange digital twins based on the AAS. So this is some first example. Yeah, and we have much more scribbled, at least it's part of the workgroup work to make this happen, yeah, to have this view on each of these use cases and projects. And then we can work on it. And together with the reference architecture, of course, we thought about and we discussed it. And it's not only our idea, yeah, and also take it also as a proposal, of course, to be discussed between all our OI4 members. We see that there is some need also for a transformation of workgroup structure. So this is the current workgroup structure. So we have lots of interfaces. We have some kind of decoupling between industry and technical workgroups. We know it from our own. Yeah? It's difficult to define some scope and find some objectives, near-time objectives, yeah, to have some results between in 1 year or 6 months. Everything is a bit long-running and undefined, and so it's also because of the reference architecture we had before. And so the idea is here to come to more use case or project-related work groups, and don't separate the industry-focused work groups from the technical work groups. Of course, we see on the top some digital twin work group. We have to have a place where we can discuss all the concepts around the digital twin. Of course, we need to do this. Yeah? Of course, we need to discuss about open edge computing, yeah, and all this stuff, what we have in the shop floor. And of course, we have industrial cybersecurity. That's why we have this frame on the left side. But at least most of the other work groups now, and some of them are already like them, they are more in a use case or project-related approach. Yeah? So we start with some requirements gathering, some discussion with guys from product management, whoever. Yeah? So this is more so industry-focused related work. Yeah? But then there will be a transition to more technical-oriented work. Yeah? And the idea behind this is to have a clear scope, yeah, on these work groups. We have defined objectives. Of course, we have to define them in the work group, yeah. But could be a publication, could be a pilot or a demonstrator for a fair. More to go the iterative approach, smaller steps, having a result and then do the next step. We can do projects limited in time. easier to assign resources for the companies. And at least we will have a better connect to the OI4 process house. And we already have some first pilots, so we started the workgroup for instrumentation management. If we look into remote device management, we have some focus now on the topics SBOM and vulnerability. We have the very nice workgroup from Rüdiger, Digital Product Passport.
Which, by the way, I really hope is when we meet next time for the traditional knowledge camp, right? So when everybody is keen on being sent here to the traditional knowledge camp of the OI4, that the DPP pillar is vanished because we are done. Right, so then we have all what we could do, we have how-tos, we have some papers that everybody could take home to their companies, have some guardrails, some examples, whatever. That's, by the way, why I really loved, Samuel, when you said we should also take this OKR method. So this objective and key results thing is something that we also should spread a little bit more, saying, okay, there's a methodology behind. Many of you know it already, but for those who not, so OKR is not just another buzzword. Yeah, actually it is, but it is also a nice methodology. And this is a tough word, methodology, something like that. So, which makes sense, and to some degree, to really plan what you want to achieve and how do I measure if I have achieved it. That makes sense for every of these work groups. By the way, this is certainly just a suggestion, right? So we are not the super masters of saying that's how it has to be. But we thought, and as it is often, it's easier just to agree than to say, oh, I need to come with a different approach. We thought that somehow seems to make sense and is tangible. Right? So let's imagine Digital Product Passport. We're working very well with very good results because we are harmonizing thoughts, we are getting inspired by each other, we are producing results. But I really hope that in a year from now, this pillar is no longer there because it's done, but replaced by something, not saying more interesting, but by something that is relevant right now in 2025, right? When we meet for the traditional knowledge camp.
Yeah, and I see Thomas from M&M, and I saw also Carsten, so they did this nice PDFs about the value propositions that will also fit very good to this, yeah, at least. So, quite nice. And yeah, just to repeat, it's a suggestion, yeah? We don't do it, yeah? We do it together afterwards. Yeah, it's an idea now to discuss it. And yeah, next slide, Rüdiger.
Yeah, you have seen it already, and things have to be repeated 7 times so that you remember them. So you will have to learn it 5 times more. No, by far not. Again, just this way of thinking, get inspired. We are talking right now in this discussion at our meeting, whatever, next week, about the digital twin of the frame that we want to produce on our own, and we have it in our welding machine. So that means I have somehow to do with the digital twin on the middle layer, talking to the digital twin of my production facility, so the welding machine on the OT layer. But nothing more, right? So that is the frame for this next meeting. While for the next meeting after the next one, we discussed just what has a digital twin of raw material to do with OT infrastructure. Example, I do the quality measurement, right? So I receive a batch of steel from my supplier. The supplier says, here are the certificates, etc., etc. Here's the melting protocol, whatever. We learned it from Jürgen, by the way, what's interesting there. And then, okay, I have to put this batch of steel that I receive into my local quality checking machine. Sorry for this word, there's definitely a better word than quality checking machine. So I have to put it into my test device. This test machine produces results, and I want to return it and attach it to the digital twin of the batch of my supplied steel. That would be something where we discuss in the lower left corner of this picture. When I discuss, I want to buy a new machine, a new welding machine, I want to negotiate with my supplier of this new welding machine. I'm talking about the bullet point in the upper right corner, right? The digital twin of the production facility in context of cross-company stuff. And that's a simple way how to sort discussing all aspects when producing a bike or whatever other product. That's a way of just saying, okay, let's position what do we need to discuss, what are the aspects when we are sitting of one of these 12 building blocks across these 3 layers. By the way, we certainly know there are more dimensions. We could cope with a third dimension, then we remember the Rami model, right? It's a cube, also very close. More than 3 dimensions are difficult, then we are in the vector, in the Matrizenrechnung, in the matrix stuff, and so on. Long story short, we hope that you also like these simplified sketches, that you can say, I have a touch point where I can contribute, where I want to contribute, where I have ideas, where I can benefit, give and take, and so on. So that's the main spirit. It's not, and that's why we also said reference architecture. I said, to be honest, in a mid-sized company, providing a reference architecture is a team of 10 for a year, doing nothing else than that, right? And we are not a team of 10 which is doing nothing else than OI4 every day, 5 days or even more. That's why we had to say, okay, what we can do is common sense guardrailing things, but we cannot write with our blood and whatever from a work group with all the time to say, this is the final reference architecture which you just have to implement. That is self-deluding. Yeah, a lot of motivation. I think it's a good move for 2024.
I think so too. Yeah, and I can imagine that some kind of reference architecture will be there in 2 or 3 years, yeah, out of the working groups. Yeah, so we will fill these building blocks, of course. Yeah, and then you can start to do it more dimensional, 3-dimensional, and put it on each other, and then you get some kind of reference architecture. But then it's created out of the projects and out of the use case related working groups. And yeah, I think we are good in time. Breakout session, reference architecture, 4:20. Yeah, of course, join us. As we said, it's not that we want to direct anything. Yeah, we want to discuss it with you. Take the chance, and of course, take the chance to be part of our work group. We will start soon again, the digital twin work group. We wanted to wait for the knowledge camp, but we still didn't have the time, yeah, to start it again in January. And yeah, I think we still have some time for questions.
Yes, Rüdiger.
By the way,
I'm
first,
disappointed.
I wanted to give the kudos. Have you recognized that every single speech today was in time? Yes. So work once with professionals, and they are guiding us to à la bonne heure.
Thank you. So, because you're so good in time, I know you did not want to answer questions now because you have your breakout session later, but there are questions maybe from people online.
We can answer now.
One,
yeah?
which the purple one is, I think, an online question. How do you map the layers of the architecture guardrail to the layers of the process house?
We thought about this. We just got only 20 minutes today, so we skipped this part at least. Yeah.
We have 3 minutes.
No chance to do it. We can discuss it together. Yeah. So there is a mapping, especially just thinking about use case related work groups, and process house is built out of use cases. So there is a mapping. Yeah.
Especially when you think about these 12 dots of digital twins across the 3 layers, we will find always the touch points. So they are aligned, but certainly the tangible result is only be done together with you in work groups, right? So it's not that we said that's the way how to go. Same as when can projects start to use the new architectural guardrails? Immediately. Just saying, I like this idea. That's not just bullshit, let's use it.
Yeah.
Or maybe you say, it's a little bit, half-wits have done this and forget about it, but then, yeah, we are open.
And maybe one more, if we have time, without anticipating anything from your breakout session, which you want to keep for later.
Fine. However, what do you propose to companies to get their architecture future-proof and sustainable? I think related to what we do, so related to these topics about digital twin and what else is part of it in data spaces and what we are all discussing today and tomorrow. I don't think there's a future-proof now, yeah? The question for me is more about, do you want to start now to try out, to work with the topics to do something? Or you wait for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I don't know. But then you have to run afterwards. Yeah? So then you have to do it immediately. Yeah? It feels like immediately. And then you have to do all the work you could do with enough time now. Then you have to do it in 12 months or in 24 months. And I think this is something we should all think about.
And maybe also important, I mean, the previous, what we named at that time reference architecture is not wrong or invalidated. It was just that when we look closely to all the bullet points here, at least in the layers Common Cloud Central and Open Operator Cloud, we just didn't touch for over 2 years many of these details. And that was a point in time when we said, okay, just putting a bullet point on a slide is not sufficient. And we knew we cannot feed details about payment metering or monitoring, logging stuff, etc., because this is detailed work for software providers, real architects, and so on. I mean, we are real architects somehow, but we said, okay, let's focus on the thing that guides some decision makers in a company, where you say, I understand, it's that simple. You can go with this other drawing to any C-level and say, look, that's what we are doing every day. Now let's resync. That was the motivation. Means it's not that this is invalidated or we said, oh, that was wrong. Definitely not. But it's just simplifying a little bit.
Yeah. And I will do a very small, fast answer when. So we want to have it ready for the Hannover Fair. Yeah. So I think the next 4 weeks we will have it ready. And no, it's not exclusively based on the AAS concept, but it's based on standards, of course. Yeah, if there are other standards, fine.
So, Michael, do you allow me to, for the first one, I have the pleasure not to sell anything to end customers, right? So when I talk to end customers, and some of them also came to the Alliance, they like the concept of the architecture guardrails, let's use the new name, that the layers are decoupled. So you can start, and that was also a very good achievement, so I like the co-work with the Edge team, with the cloud team, with the digital twin team, with the application management team. So wherever you see the chance to start it, because the building blocks are there. And that is a key message. So don't wait, it is already future-proof. So this is not a rocket science, but you need to start somewhere. The sooner you start, the faster you benefit also from the output from the work groups, from the output from the projects and the publications the OI4 community is providing. So that's why take the advantage that it's a decoupled layer approach, and also we saw the different use cases. On which level are we now? Company, cross-company. So also here you can start. So I think that is what the market always asks when I talk to end users, and that's why I like it. So it's easy to start, much easier than seeing a big reference architecture where you get shocked. That's why I wanted to add that. So thank you guys. Good job.
Thank you, Ekrem.
Thank you, Michael, thank you, Rüdiger.